Welcome. We're diving deep today into, well, something truly profound, forgiveness. And before we even start, maybe take just a moment. Reflect on this question with us. Who is God inviting you to forgive? Not because, they deserve it necessarily, but because you deserve to live free.
That really is the heart of it, isn't it?
Hmm.
A powerful question to sit with. Because understanding forgiveness, really getting to the core of it, it holds this incredible key to personal freedom.
It does.
And it's not about making light of the pain, not at all,
Right.
or pretending it didn't happen. It's about releasing that grip it has on your spirit, on your life right now.
Yeah, releasing the grip. Because when we talk forgiveness, it's so often misunderstood. People think it's mainly something you do for the other person, a sort of grand gesture towards them.
Right. That's the common idea.
But the deeper wisdom, the truth of it, it points somewhere else, doesn't it? It shows that forgiveness, at its very heart, it's a path to your healing, to your freedom. It's a gift you give yourself, first and foremost.
Exactly. And understanding that means we absolutely have to be clear about what forgiveness is not. Because these misunderstandings, they can really block us.
Okay. Good point. What is it not?
Well, first, it's definitely not forgetting. Memory's important. It teaches us, protects us sometimes.
Right. You don't just wipe the slate clean.
No. And it's also not minimizing what happened. It's not saying, oh, it wasn't that bad, or, the hurt wasn't real. The wound was deep.
Acknowledging the reality of the hurt.
Precisely. And crucially, it is not excusing the wrong. It doesn't make what they did okay. It doesn't let them off the hook, responsibility-wise.
So what is it then, in its essence?
It's a choice, a conscious decision, often a really hard one, let's be honest. But it's a decision to let go of the hold that the pain, the resentment, the bitterness has on your life. It's like untangling yourself from that hurt. So the past is still there, you remember it, but it stops controlling how you feel right now inside.
That clarity really helps frame it, and it elevates it beyond just, say, a psychological trick, right? There's a deeper spiritual dimension here. It reminds me of that guiding principle. Bear with each other and forgive one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you.
Yes, that's powerful.
It feels like more than just good advice. It sounds like a divine calling, an invitation to mirror a kind of grace that's been shown to us. But what does that tell us about, grace itself and why we're asked to do something so difficult?
Well, that divine mandate points right to the purpose, especially when forgiving someone feels, well, frankly, like the last thing they deserve.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
It is. But the reason we're called to do it, even when everything inside screams for justice or payback, it's not mainly for them. It's for us.
For our own freedom.
For our own freedom. It's about imitating that incredible grace we've received, choosing to release the pain, release the burden, even when it feels impossible. Making that choice, it connects us to something bigger,
Extending grace, even when it seems undeserved, somehow unlocks more grace within ourselves. It's radical self-care, really. Choosing freedom over being trapped by resentment.
So it's this profound calling, this path to freedom. But what about the reality? Life gets messy. We often think forgiveness is like flipping a switch. One moment you're hurt, the next you decide to forgive, and poof, it's gone.
Right. The instant fix idea.
Yeah. But is that how it really works? Because true wisdom seems to suggest it's more of a journey, isn't it? A process, something that unfolds over time, maybe not even linearly.
That's such an important point because it gives us permission to be where we are. It's usually not a single event. It is a process, a journey.
So what does that mean for someone right now, maybe listening, who's dealing with a really fresh wound or maybe an old hurt that just flared up again? How do you even start that journey when taking the first step feels impossible? And that's okay. Feeling like it's impossible is okay. The first step doesn't have to be this huge resolution. It rarely is. Often, a really practical, humble first step is just asking for the willingness to forgive.
Willingness. Not the forgiveness itself, but the willingness.
Exactly. Just being willing to want to forgive. It's about lowering the resistance, even if the feeling isn't there yet. Like planting a tiny seed. You don't expect a full bloom instantly.
Creating the conditions.
Yes. That simple, honest request, help me be willing, can start something powerful inside. It invites grace into those places where bitterness took hold. It opens the door just a crack for healing to begin in its own time. It's about letting go of needing things to be fair and starting down the path of release.
And when we do that, when we find that willingness, what happens inside the person who forgives? What does that radical self-care actually unlock? Because, like you said, it feels backward sometimes. How can forgiving someone who hurt me be such a gift to me.
Yeah, it does feel counterintuitive.
But the wisdom says it brings deep healing to our own hearts. It mends things. It leads directly to personal freedom. It sounds like taking off a heavy coat you didn't realize you were carrying.
It really is like that. The core benefit is preventing bitterness
Yeah.
from, well, the phrase is stealing one's life.
Mm.
And think about that. Bitterness doesn't just make you sad or angry.
No.
It creeps in and robs you, steals joy, peace, connection. It can even affect your physical health. It creates this kind of spiritual blockage.
Stealing life. That's powerful.
Forgiveness might not change the past. What happened, happened. But it absolutely transforms your present. It opens up space.
Right.
Space for, well, for the divine to work within you, for new possibilities, for compassion to flow back into your own life.
So it changes your inner world.
Profoundly. From being contracted in pain to expanding into freedom. And that's where that insight comes in again. Forgiveness isn't about making things fair. It's about making room for freedom, your own. Freedom to get your energy back, your focus, your peace.
These ideas they're deep. But they're not just abstract concepts, are they? We see them lived out. There are these incredible real-world stories of grace that show this isn't just theory, it's possible.
Absolutely. These stories show the power of choosing this path, even in incredibly tough
I
situations.
suppose about some of those.
Well, think about that story from North Carolina just last year in 2023. A mother whose son was killed by a drunk driver.
Oh, unimaginable.
Truly.
Yeah.
And yet, during the driver's sentencing, in that courtroom filled with grief, she stood up and publicly forgave him.
Wow.
She looked at him and said something like, "What you did hurt more than I can explain, but I choose to forgive you because I refuse to let bitterness steal the rest of my life."
Refuse to let bitterness steal the rest of her life.
Exactly. It wasn't dismissing the horror. It was this radical, Christ-like act of grace, choosing her own liberation over staying locked in that pain.
Yeah.
Just an incredible testament to that power.
Astonishing courage. And then you mentioned another story, quite different in scale.
Yes, completely different setting, but the same principle. Two co-workers in Ohio, they'd been in this feud for ages, the kind where the tension is thick in the air.
We've all seen that happen.
Right, it affects everyone. Then one day, one of them just decided they couldn't carry it anymore. They brought in coffee for both of them.
A simple gesture.
Simple, but incredibly brave in that context. And they just said, "I don't want to carry this anymore. Life's too short."
And what happened?
That small act of humility, offering peace without demanding anything back, it opened the door. They talked, really talked. And it led to reconciliation. It changed the whole feeling in their workplace. Peace returned.
So one, a huge tragedy, the other, an everyday office conflict.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But both stories show the same thing. The freedom forgiveness offers is personal. It's about the forgiver choosing to release the burden, choosing peace over resentment. In both cases, they were the ones who reclaimed their lives, made room for freedom, even when it was hard.
It brings us back to the core message, doesn't it? As we wrap up this deep dive. Forgiveness. It's hard. Maybe one of the hardest things we're asked to do.
It really can be.
But it's a journey, a path towards real freedom, deep healing. It's an act of grace, yes, but one that mirrors a higher calling and ultimately frees ourselves.
It truly is a radical gift we offer ourselves.
Yeah.
Letting go of past burdens, opening up to new possibilities, finding peace. It really shows the power of a willing heart.
So as you continue your day, maybe carry this question with you. Reflect on it. The same one we started with. Who is God inviting you to forgive? Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to live free.